There are a few types of businesses that are out there, and you've got to decide which one you are. This is chapter 3 of Exit Rich. What kind of business are you? The hardest part is understanding what type of business that you are, and most businesses today are not businesses, they're jobs. And so people get that confused. They say, I'm an entrepreneur, I own a business, and when you're the only person working in the business and you can't step away and you're wearing every single hat, you don't have a business, you have a job. And it's totally fine. Maybe you're working at the pace that you love, but you got to decide what kind of business you are. So there's 7 types of businesses that are outlined in the book. First one is the dreamer business. Dreamer businesses are usually ones that owners are following their passion on. It could be a dress store. It could be an arts and crafts store. It could be some type of leather crafting store, boot store, being a cobbler, where it's something that you enjoy doing. But the problem with them is a lot of those people don't do market research. And when you don't do the market research on them, you don't know what the company can sell for, and you don't know how hard it is to become successful. Now, most businesses by business model structure are not cash flow positive in the first year, second or third year. A lot of times, in order to create a profit and go net positive, you got to go about 3 to 5 years into the business. Now, every business that I've ever built is cash flow on month 1. Every time I've ever done it. Because if you can't create cash flow right away, you probably shouldn't do it. Also, my other rule of thumb is if you have to take out debt to make the business, you probably shouldn't do it. You want to create proof of concept first. The second is established businesses. Established businesses have been typically around for 5 years. Sometimes they're passed between owners, or there's been multiple owners, or it's been passed in the family. They're just businesses that have been around for 5 years. They've done the market research. They're cash flow positive. They've gone through all the headache of becoming successful. And they typically, what makes them so powerful is they have a really good client base and they're really known. If you ever can think of a brand or a company that you always go back to and, they've been in business for 20 years, then it's just word of mouth that gets passed along from there. So established businesses are known to just be extremely stable with a good client base. Absentee businesses, they require very little work, very little hands-on. So that could be like laundromats, storage facilities, car washes, real estate. You still have to have someone employed to help manage them, or you could manage them yourself. Those are the businesses that are highly coveted. And they're coveted by investors because they don't require a lot of work, but they get you a lot of cash flow. The fourth type of business is the one-man show. The one-man show are good, but again, it goes back to these are more jobs. They're not businesses. They have deliverabilities on them. But in these circumstances, the owner holds the value. And so they're not super sellable. It's hard to exit because even though you do really good work and people love what you do, if you sell the business, it's typically the owner that has the touch to make it really nice. And so the deliverables are found in the owner, not necessarily found in the business itself. The fifth one is the small business or small company. This is probably where I'm at with my business of AZ Health Insurance Agents. I'm somewhere in the middle between small business, small and medium company, and then the middle market or larger company. And I'll kind of explain a little bit more why. But for the smaller businesses, these typically have a few employees as well, but it's a little bit more. And you typically also have a manager or a leader in place that helps things turn. So the owner is there to be involved and to help push the business to scale it, but they're not there as much to just make things turn. And that's where I'm at. I can show up at different times and know that the business is turning, but I'm still pretty heavily involved with things on a day-to-day basis. And so that's kind of where I feel like I fall into. Now, the middle market or the larger companies, these are the big businesses with larger management teams and or larger leadership teams. They typically have roles like CEO, COO, CFO, CRO. These companies operate daily without the owner, but the owner has now final decision, also is focused on scaling. If you're wanting to know how to scale between these 7 categories, and I would go back and rewatch them. If you want to know how to scale, you have to understand that you have to work on the business more than you work in the business. Just like you have to work on yourself more than you work in your job. So again, if you want to move up in the cycles, you should ask yourself, where am I at? Where do I want to land in the business cycle? And what do I have to do to get there? The more time you spend thinking about where you want to go, the more likely you are to accomplish that, because what you think about all day long is where you end up. And this is just a reminder, like it's a reminder to know that business is a scaling thing. It doesn't just happen overnight. And when you work on the business, and I've said this 4 or 5 times now, but it's so important because it's talked about so much. When you work on the elements of the business to scale it up, you're going to end up in the right place where you can sell your business, you can exit, you can have more than you started with, and you can actually pass down to other people what you've tried to create the entire time. And also the other way to do this is to really scale towards the end. You have to work on training people to do the things that you already know how to do. That way you can step away and scale the business. If you can't repeat what you're doing or teach people to repeat everything that you're doing, you're not going to get where you want to go. You have to be able to create a duplication of yourself so that you can pull yourself out of the role that you were in, put someone there to do that, and then work on the next piece of the business. This is chapter 3 with Exit Rich. Write down where you think you are and write down the next moves you have to make to get where you want to go. Hey, like, comment, and subscribe if you like the content. I just share with you what has worked for me, and if it would work for you, fantastic. But all I'm focused on is synchronizing all the information that has worked for me to be able to help you move through your business and your life better and faster.